The following health update is brought to you by Health by Yourself. Visit us on the web at healthbyyourself.net. One of the most fascinating things about economics are the parallels with physiology. Not only that, maybe the most important thing you as a consumer can understand about physiology is illustrated not only with economics, but with what's going on right now. You probably know that we're in a correction. And correction is the appropriate word because it implies that there is an error made before or a miscalculation that has to be corrected. So let's suppose for a second that the owner of Starbucks miscalculates how many new stores he needs to open. He thinks that they should open 1,000 new stores, when in fact the market can only handle about 500 new stores. And on the other hand, the broccoli farmers underestimate how much broccoli they should farm. They only farm half as much broccoli as the people really will eat. Pretty soon, the price of Starbucks will either come down or they will lay off employees. At the same time, the price of broccoli will go up and the broccoli farmers will be looking for new workers, new land, whatever the farmers need. And often we forget even the most basics about production is that the reason somebody works at Starbucks isn't to be happy or it isn't to have a job. The reason Starbucks exists is to produce something that people actually want. There's a purpose to it. The same is true for farming. The reason we need broccoli farms is because we need broccoli. It's not because we need people working. We need broccoli. So the Starbucks employee is laid off. In fact, a lot of people might be laid off. And so we hear the bad economic news, high unemployment. You see, we see the correction, the high unemployment. We see the falling prices, or in some cases the rising prices, as being the problem, when in fact the problem is more fundamental. It has to do with the production. What's supposed to happen is a Starbucks employee who is laid off realizes that on the one hand he's not needed at Starbucks, and on the other hand he is needed in some other area, and he just has to figure out what that is. And in this case it has to do with agriculture. In the end, after the correction, when people sort of rearrange their production, rearrange what they're actually doing, the fundamentals of the economy are better. The things being produced more accurately reflect the things that people need. And that never could have happened without the correction. So in the same way there's a purpose to a correction, and a correction is necessary whenever somebody miscalculates or is off the mark, the same is true with health. And by the way, this is very common, and this is maybe the most important thing about our physiology. Your body has different kinds of factories, just like the economy has different types of factories. We have Starbucks cells, the ones that are good for power, quick energy. They love sugar, they love coffee. And we have other cells for endurance, long, sustained energy. Those are the ones that eat broccoli. Anytime you do something, your brain determines how much broccoli and how much Starbucks you're going to use. It has to do with whether or not you see the thing you're doing as an emergency. Here's the example. Person X, who we'll call John, was given a new project by his boss. This project is due in 3 months. So John's really excited about it, a little bit nervous. He wants to be sure he gets it done. So he goes at it like a maniac. He's up late at night, drinking a lot of coffee, a lot of donuts, not sleeping much. He's basically running on adrenaline, or you could say he's running on Starbucks. So basically John has been presented a marathon. 3 months is a marathon, and he's going at it like it's a sprint. So what will happen is he will become exhausted. He will run out of energy. He might experience frequent urination. He might experience depression. Basically, he will exhaust his whole system. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when, assuming that John miscalculates the urgency of the event. Now understand, The only way for John to refuel his tanks and to develop more broccoli factories is for his body to temporarily rest. The reason he feels so depressed is because his brain is telling his body, you have to rest. The reason his adrenal glands stop producing adrenaline is because his cells have to rest so that they can build new factories. The reason he has to urinate so much is because his cells can no longer take all that sugar and coffee, and he has to urinate it out. This is the correction. In the exact same way our economy goes through a correction, your body goes through a correction, and the correction itself is beneficial, albeit uncomfortable. If John allows the correction to occur, he will be stronger. His cells will rebuild so that they can do the things that he's asking them to do. But it's at the very moment that the correction occurs, where the body is really transforming into a stronger body, that unfortunately people seek help. And most of the healthcare experts treat the correction as if the correction is the disease, and they ensure that the correction will be prolonged. They're essentially preventing the recovery. In the same way that, politicians, when they see a correction, they try to fix the correction and prolong the recovery. So all you have to do is understand that there's a purpose to the correction. There's a purpose to your discomfort. Your body's built for good fundamentals, not necessarily for you to always feel good. Thanks for listening. Visit us on the web at healthbyyourself.net.